Warlord Kethvar had conquered 17 star systems without breaking a sweat through his chitinous hide. His Crimson Fleet had obliterated the pacifist Zelani, enslaved the technological Vorthak, and ground the warrior Krillians into cosmic dust. When his scouts reported a small blue world in an unremarkable spiral arm, populated by bipedal mammals who had barely achieved interstellar flight, he dismissed it as another easy conquest. The humans called it Earth. Another primitive world, Kethvar rumbled to his bridge crew, his four arms gesturing dismissively at the holographic display. They still fight amongst themselves with chemical explosives. Their technology is millennia behind ours. We shall demand tribute, half their population as slaves, half their resources as payment for our protection. His lieutenant, Zexhai, shifted nervously. My lord, the preliminary scans show some unusual readings. Their military installations are more extensive than typical for their technological level. Irrelevant, Kethvar snarled. Send the ultimatum. The message reached every screen, radio, and communication device on Earth simultaneously. Kethvar's imposing figure, 8 feet of armored alien menace, loomed over humanity as he delivered his terms. Surrender half their population and resources or face annihilation in 72 hours. The response came not from Earth's governments, but from something called the United Nations Emergency Council. A small, seemingly fragile human female appeared on his screen. Her hair was silver with age, her face lined, but her eyes held something that made Kethvar's mandibles twitch with unease. Warlord Kethvar, she said calmly, I am Secretary General Chen. On behalf of humanity, I must respectfully decline your generous offer. Kethvar's laughter echoed through his flagship. You refuse? You who have not even mastered your own gravity well? Do you know what I have done to species far more advanced than yours? We've studied your conquests, Chen replied. The Zelani were pacifists who surrendered at first contact. The Vorthak were scientists who valued preservation over conflict. The Krillians were honorable warriors who fought by codes and rules. Her smile was thin, predatory. You've never encountered anything like us. And what makes you so special, little mammal? Chen's eyes gleamed. We're not just tool users, Warlord. We're apex predators who learn to cooperate. And when apex predators are threatened, she leaned forward. We don't just defend, we hunt. Kethvar cut the transmission and gave the order to attack. His first wave of shock troops met no orbital defenses, no energy shields, no grand fleet. Instead, they encountered something no alien species had ever developed. Pure, weaponized paranoia backed by industrial capacity. The humans had spent decades preparing for this exact scenario. Not because they knew aliens would come, but because they had imagined every possible way their own species might try to destroy them, and then prepared for something worse. Nuclear-pumped X-ray lasers fired from hidden installations across the moon. Kinetic kill vehicles launched months earlier, and hidden in the asteroid belt, struck Kethvar's forward ships with the force of supernovas. Swarms of self-replicating hunter-killers, each no larger than a briefcase but carrying antimatter warheads, turned his proud fleet into expanding clouds of plasma. But it was the ground assault that truly educated Kethvar about the nature of apex predators. His remaining forces landed expecting to fight human armies. Instead, they found that every human civilian was a potential combatant. Children carried weapons that could punch through power armor. Elderly humans piloted suicide drones with frightening enthusiasm. The very infrastructure turned against his forces. Roads that exploded, buildings that collapsed in precisely calculated ways to maximize casualties. Water supplies that had been contaminated with biological agents specifically engineered to target his species' physiology. How? Zexhai gasped as another of their secure positions was overrun by humans who seemed to appear from nowhere. How did they know our weaknesses? Kethvar watched in growing horror as his casualties mounted. These humans didn't fight, like any species he'd encountered. They didn't follow rules of engagement, they didn't limit themselves to military targets. They had studied his previous conquests and identified every weakness, every tactical preference, every technological vulnerability. and they had adapted. The turning point came when HFY tried to retreat to his flagship. The humans had been waiting for this too. Hidden among the asteroids his own ships had destroyed were massive kinetic bombardment platforms, constructed in secret over decades. They fired not at his ship, but at precise points in spacetime, collapsing his dimensional drives and stranding his fleet in Earth's solar system. "You wanted to know what makes us special," came a transmission from the planet below. It wasn't Chen this time, but a younger human male wearing military insignia. "We're the species that turned cooperation itself into a weapon. Every human who dies makes the rest of us smarter, angrier, and more dangerous. We don't just share information, we evolve it." HFY's sensors showed the impossible. His own weapons, reverse-engineered and improved, were being turned against his remaining ships. Somehow, in the span of mere days, humanity had not only copied his technology but enhanced it. "We've been apex predators for millions of years," the human continued. "We wiped out species just by existing near them. We turned the entire biosphere of our planet into our hunting ground. And when we ran out of things to hunt," the human smiled with too many teeth, "we started hunting each other, for practice." As his flagship's hull began to buckle under humanity's assault, HFY finally understood his fatal mistake. He had conquered civilizations. But humanity wasn't a civilization. It was a pack of apex predators who had temporarily stopped hunting each other long enough to focus on a new threat. The last thing Warlord HFY heard was the sound of human laughter as they boarded his ship. The galaxy would later mark this date as the beginning of humanity's expansion into the stars. They never called it conquest, though. They called it hunting season. And somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, other warlords received humanity's first and only ultimatum. "Leave us alone, and we'll leave you alone. Threaten us." The message ended with footage of HFY's flagship, now drifting as an expanding debris field. The rest was understood.